30. Hull ABC V3507, another country. Take 1. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Someone's love never falters, I see.
Bennett, do pull yourself together.
But will it pay the price?
Anything.
What have you done with Lenin? There he is. You do realise it'd be sacrilege to lay him on chapel altar? Charlie Chaplin would want a man-to-man talk with you.
He can marry us if he likes. Sanctify our passion.
Bennett, I'm afraid he'd only tell you how men managed without women in the war.
I bet he wouldn't.
Don't you encourage him, Judd?
What's this? What's this? He's not there.
Not yet. But any moment now, the great oak doors of Longford's will swing open on their rusty hinges.
How do you know they're rusty?
And the glorious vision will step forth. He'll stand a moment, winsomely framed in the tumescent archway.
The what?
Sniffing the winds like a dappled deer.
Oh, my God.
Then he'll shoot a soft yet burning, tender yet passionate glance across the 300 yards of sacred turf, hoping against hope that I shall be here to receive it. Then I shall lay my heart at his feet.
He must have enormous feet if they'll stretch from Longford's to here.
You're so stupidly romantic. Why fall in love with the unattainable?
It's more fun. And anyway, from what I hear, Harcourt is not only attainable. He's been attained several times already.
Only by Longford's men, surely.
So far.
Bennett, did you know you're becoming very, very boring about Harcourt?
Am I, Devonish? I am so terribly sorry. I practically bore myself to extinction. I did so hope I might be mildly amusing to my friend.
Well, you're not. So stop it.
Can't. Sorry. One has to have some spice to life in this dingy place. And anyway, I'm not nearly as boring as you were about Worsley.
You're both boring. And incurably bourgeois and decadent.
And you're all statistics and no heart.
Don't you encourage him?
How many times do I have to explain?
None.
Communism is simply the logical approach to people's feelings.
Each other?
God, you're hopeless.
And you're all statistics and no heart.
Don't you encourage him?
Bushels per acre in Siberia.
Hectare.
What?
Per hectare. Don't you listen to anything?
And anyway, not Siberia.
Somewhere equally ghastly.
Nowhere in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics is ghastly.
And the moon is made of green cheese. Talk of stupidly romantic.
Vision and reality go hand in hand with us.
How charming. Like Jack and Jill. Who'll be the first to tumble, I wonder?
You'll have to go, Bennett.
And what a struggle you'll have fighting back the tears as you send me off. Commissar Judd. Assault mines will it be? Or the firing squad?
The People's Court will decide.
What now?
My future under socialism.
Oh, that. All punishments will be laid down in the appropriate chapter of the Soviet Penal Code.
Isn't it riveting, Menzies, how he reveals his class and upbringing? All those fathers and grandfathers in the Indian Civil, carefully applying the rule book to the great unwashed.
There's no connection.
Bureaucracy. It's all just bureaucracy under different names. People bossing you about and collecting taxes. Underneath that anarchistic exterior,
I am not an anarchist.
there lurks a spirit as rigidly administrative, as predatorily imperial as...
Curzons? Milners?
You're as foul at heart as Fowler, Judd.
Now look, I'm prepared to put up with most things, but...
Talking of Fowler... We don't in here, if you don't mind.
He took great exception to the state of your uniform during the dedication, Bennett.
You're really going to have to smarten up on parade. Pull your socks up generally.
At least change them.
They're not too bad. Only a week or two old at most.
Who?
Well, I thought I should warn you.
Thank you.
Listen to the authority behind that gentle hint. He's going to make a splendid head of house, don't you
I
think?
was only letting him know.
Yes, yes.
You think I shouldn't warn people about Fowler?
No, no.
Well, then.
Well, it's just that I liked you so much before you were a prefect.
You'll like me again, I expect, when you're one yourself.
Ha-ha.
You're a fool, Judd. A complete idiot.
Look, even you can see that it's impossible for me to be against the class system and be a prefect.
A moron. A cretin.
You're just waiting to be in 22.
And what's wrong with that?
22 boys out of a school of over 400 electing each other to be demigods.
Well, at least it's democratic. Surely you approve of that.
A self-perpetuating oligarchy of mutual congratulation is not democratic.
Mutual what?
At least they're not elected by the housemasters like ordinary prefects. You have to be somebody.
And who's Bennett going to be, apart from your friend?
Wit, scholar, natural leader of men.
He's at the top of the school, and in the second 15.
You know that has nothing to do with it. The whole system is totally corrupt.
My pater says that being in 22 makes the whole of school worthwhile.
We'll get you in, Devonish. Won't we, Bennett?
Shh. I'm not in yet.
Oh, you'll have no trouble. Heads of houses always get their first choices in. It's the seconds who have the trouble.
How can you allow yourselves to collaborate
do
with the...
shut up. We have heard it all before.
Do you want something here, Menzies? If not, I must remind you the prefects are not supposed to loiter in fourth year library.
And where else am I supposed to see my friends?
Now that's totally unnecessary, Judd.
Then have you seen Martineau? Farcical wants to see him.
You're hardly like to find him in here until next term.
No one's seen him since the Dedica.
He's probably with his parents.
Yes. Well, it doesn't matter, really. Have you looked at the Cicero yet? It's absolutely filthy.
Oh, good.
Filthy difficult, not filthy dirty.
Would you like the benefit of my insight during prep?
Thanks, come to my study.
Oh, and thank you for the good-humoured restraint with which you exercise your power. I'm sure I speak for the whole house when I say how much we hope you'll be able to keep it up next term.
I can but try.
There's no need to be so offensive, Judd. Got no manners whatever. Do you know what he was doing during the 2 minutes silence?
Judd? No.
Laughing.
I was not.
I could see you out of the corner of my eye. You were skulking with the juniors and giggling.
I didn't utter a sound.
Then you were giggling silently. I couldn't concentrate on the dead at all.
Judd.
Even a crusty old Tory like you, Devonish, must be able to see that it is absolutely ludicrous for 400 boys to line up and blub for a whole lot of people who they never even knew, who simply died in a businessman's war because they were too damn stupid to shoot their superior officers and start a revolution, like the Russians.
Well, naturally.
Unnaturally, you mean?
All phenomena in nature are natural.
You're both offensive. It's a beautiful memorial. All those names, 342. Think of it. They died for you.
They died for their class.
You are their class. It's damn silly to pretend you're not. Always trying to be different.
Look at the door to Chapel Bell Tower. They're bringing somebody out.
What is it?
Good God.
One of the bell ringers must have had an accident. It happens, you know. The bell swings over and gets you swept right off your feet. One of our tenants cracked his skull a few years ago, ringing in the new year.
I haven't heard any bells. Not since the Dedica.
You know what I think?
Oh.
I think it's Martineau.
Martineau's not a bell ringer.
Good God. I think you're right.
How very peculiar.
Oh, God. Poor Martineau.
From a bell rope?
Yes.
He must have been mad.
Well, there'll have to be an inquest.
The balance of his mind.
Quite.
It seems Mr. Nicholson caught him in Fotsock Darkroom yesterday with a man from Longford's.
Oh, Lord.
If you ask me, it all comes of having masters who aren't old boys. An old boy would know better than to go prowling about Fotsock Darkroom in the evenings.
Making progress, I see.
I'd have finished by now if only they'd let me work.
I thought it was supposed to be so terribly difficult.
There's nothing in here I didn't understand in the end. They ought to teach us economics here instead of Tudors and bloody Stuarts. Marx should be a set book for the six, instead of leaving us to fight with it on our own and under the blankets. Lost another torch last night.
How many's that?
12. 12 torches taken away to stop me getting the education I'm supposed to be here for.
Well, you have my sympathy.
It's not sympathy I want. It's intelligent treatment. I happen only to need 6 hours sleep a night. That means I wake up at 4:30. Well, in the summer it's all right, but in the winter, well, what?
It's entirely your own fault. If you weren't so bloody bolshy, you could read as much as you like. You'd probably be a house prefect next term. You'd probably be head of house instead of Menzies.
I keep telling my parents, as if only they'd let me stay at home, I'd get 3 more extra hours in a day. But they don't listen. School keeps me out of the way. It's all they care about.
God, if our parents knew what actually went on here.
They do. The fathers, anyway.
This awful colonel of my mother's thinks public schools go on too long.
Shouldn't go on at all if you ask me.
He says we should leave when we're 17. Take a job for a year or 2. Go around the world a bit. Learn a bit about life before going up to varsity. Why not the army, I said. I learned so much about life in the army, killing people. He almost liked me for a moment. Listen. Barclay wants me to go and meet Martineau's parents.
You?
Do you think I should?
Well, how much did you really like him?
Well, I didn't mind him, I suppose. Actually.
Oh, no.
No. The thing is, I don't know what I might not say.
Then you better not go.
On the other hand, if his parents would like it wouldn't really be hypocrisy, would it?
Yes.
But my mother liked it when people wrote to her about my father.
My dear Bennett, whenever people say something wouldn't really be hypocrisy, or lying, or cheating, then they're half gone already.
Half gone where?
If you practice hypocrisy without admitting it, you end up not remembering what's true and what isn't, what's right and what's wrong. Well, if that happens to you, then you've had it as a human being, haven't you?
Have I?
Almost everyone in this country has. They really don't know how to be honest, truthful, decent, ordinarily human and good. That's why there has to be a revolution.
All right, Bennett. I've got you this time.
God, I thought you were Fowler.
What are you doing here?
Celebrating.
What? But I thought you didn't have to be back till tomorrow.
Oh, that drainpipe's a bloody disgrace.
Gosh.
Tommy. Oh, may I call you Tommy? Tommy?
If you want.
Tommy, I'm in love.
That's not exactly news.
I don't mean in love. I mean in love.
You're drunk.
It's like being drunk. Only instead of things going round and round, they're perfectly, beautifully still. And not blurred either. Sharp. Clear. Brighter colours than you've ever seen. It's unbelievable.
The wedding was a success then, was it?
It wasn't a wedding. More an engagement party.
What? But I thought you said...
Oh, you mean the wedding? Well, that was ghastly. Mother blubbed. And Arthur. He wants me to call him Arthur now. Can you believe it?
Perhaps it's his name.
I told her, you can call him what you like. He's your husband. I shall call him Colonel, and that's that. Leaving me to rot in this jail of a school while she flaunts herself up and down the Riviera with that...
Sure.
Oh, sorry. But I mean, really, it's so undignified. People that age going off to Cap Ferrat. They should creep down to Cromer and think themselves lucky. Tweeds and +4s and out on the links all day. That's what they should be doing. I told them so. Made Mother blub again.
Cad.
But I mean, they're trying to get rid of me, Tommy. They've got a world tour all set up. Cape Town, Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia. Can you believe it?
Really?
It's the Martineau business. They fear for my moral character.
Bit late for that, isn't it?
You must be mad, I said. I'm not going now. School's just getting to the good bit.
I didn't know there was a good bit.
Well, for you there isn't. You're determined not to have one. But for sensible people, me, I'm going to dress like this every day next term, Tommy.
How pathetic and childish.
Life is ladders. That's all. Prepper to here, first form to sixth, a second assistant junior under secretary to ambassador in Paris. Sir Guy Bennett, GCMG, GCVO, Knight of Grace of St. John of Jerusalem, chain of the most exalted order of the Queen of Sheba.
Contemptible sycophant in the service of the bourgeoisie.
What?
Contemptible sycophant in the service of the bourgeoisie. It's what Lenin called the renegade Karl Kautsky.
Did he indeed?
Because he substituted eclecticism and sophistry for dialectics.
Well, that is bad, of course.
And totally failed to realise that personal opportunism always and inevitably leads to subservience to the ruling class.
Ah, but what Lenin wholly failed to see was, I shall be the ruling class.
Oh, yes. Grovelling about to kings and queens, walking backwards and kissing hands, Lenin understood all right. You're totally imbued with the spirit of civility.
You mean he wouldn't have liked me?
No.
Well, I'm not mad about him either. Lenin, I mean. Now, James. When I got back from the wedding, I took James to dinner at the Fox and Hounds.
You're mad.
We arranged it all yesterday. If my mother was going to marry Arthur, I didn't see why I shouldn't have dinner with James. He told his houseman his uncle was coming down. I am a fool. I should have booked a room.
Why not the bridal suite?
No. Now, that would have spoiled things.
God,
And anyway, he had to be in by 9:30. We wouldn't have had time.
you really did go.
No. Till now, it's all just been a game. Manoeuvring for glances. Meeting accidentally on purpose. It was simply relieving the boredom. But now...
You'll be sunken.
Oh, no.
Master's drink at the Fox and Hounds. God, Bennett, you really are mad.
Do call me Guy. I think surnames are so stupid. Have you ever really been in love?
No.
I've been walking about, thinking. What time is it now?
Just after 1.
3 hours.
Well, why didn't you come back here?
I've got an exeat. I'm free. I'm not here at all. I'm in London.
Shush, you'll get us both beaten.
They can't beat me if I'm not here. I think I'll sleep in here tonight if you don't mind.
All right, but don't let anyone see you dressed like that. You get the gamut for that outfit.
When I'm in 22, I shall have a fag to keep it clean. Everything will be absolutely... Oh, Tommy. Amor vincit omnia.
You're hopeless. A totally hopeless case. God. First they take away my tortures. Then, when I bring my life, or at least my bum, down here, they send me you. This place is utterly impossible.
Good night.
Good night.
Who stole my heart away? Who makes me dream all day? Dreams I know.
The answer is no.
Look, I wish you'd reconsider.
I wish you'd let me work.
Savonarola Judd, scourge of the school. You must feel pretty isolated.
I've never felt anything but lonely since the day I came here.
Oh.
The same faces day in, day out, year after year, and none I ever want to meet again.
Well, you're going to feel even more isolated next term. You're also going to make life jolly awkward for the rest of us.
Hard cheese.
Look, I won't ask you to do anything you don't want to do. I mean, obviously you'll have to go through the motions. Prep duty, dorms, roll call.
Menzies?
Nothing, really.
Have you the makings of a politician in you?
I'm really speaking as one friend to another.
You have. Personal relations poisoned by political ambition.
Well, when you get power, I mean, no matter how little it is, you find it yourself. You can't always keep public and private things apart.
In this country, you can't. The British ruling class is totally corrupt. In a communist society, personal relations are entirely irrelevant.
Not even you can entirely believe that. Look, we are friends, aren't we?
I really don't know. Are we? We've known each other for a quarter of our lives. I don't exactly dislike you. I don't suppose you exactly dislike me. But I wouldn't exactly call 4 years of enforced mutual toleration friendship quite.
Damn you, I want you as one of my prefects.
How very proprietary. Your prefects. Couldn't you have said you'd give him up?
No,
I don't see why not.
I couldn't do that.
Guy.
I love him.
Guy.
Look, you still don't believe me, do you?
I think you may think you're in love with him.
Look, I'm not going to pretend anymore. I'm sick of pretending. I'm never going to love women.
Don't be ridiculous.
That's why Martineau killed himself. He'd known since he was 10. He told me. I didn't know. Well, I wasn't sure. Till James.
You can't possibly know a thing like that at 10, or now.
Oh, yes, you can. It doesn't come as any great revelation. It's more like admitting to yourself what you've always known, owning up to yourself. It's a great relief, in some ways. All this acting it up, making a joke of it, even to myself, was simply a way of trying to pretend it wasn't true, but it is.
Of course it's not.
Look, Tommy, when you come down to it, it's as simple as knowing whether or not you like spinach.
I can never really make my mind up about spinach.
Then perhaps you're ambidextrous.
No, I'm not.
You see? You know.
I don't know how you can trust intuitions like that.
Well, what else is there? Are you a communist because you read Karl Marx? No. You read Karl Marx because you know you're a communist.
Well, I'm sorry.
Thanks. If that's how friends react.
I apologise. It was patronising and unforgiving.
But you couldn't help it, could you? Despite all your talk about equality and fraternity, you really do believe that some people are better than others because of the way they make love.
There's complete sexual freedom in Russia.
That's not a lot of comfort at the moment, actually. Martineau killed himself because he simply couldn't face a lifetime of that.
But I thought you said it was a great relief knowing.
Don't you ever listen? I said in some ways. It's also a life sentence. Poor Martineau. He was just a sort of pathetic dope who spent his whole life in prison, getting caught all the time, being sent down every few months by magistrates.
Well, I'm sorry, but I just don't see how you can see it that way.
Because I love him.
Guy, come on.
Look, you don't know what I'm talking about. You've never been in love. Everything seems different. Everything seems possible. You could really believe life could be... It's so obvious. It's madness what we have now. Strikes and beatings and 22. And how many unemployed are there now?
3,750,000.
God. Are they really?
Yes.
Well, there must be a better way to run things. And when you're in love, it all seems so easy. You don't know what I'm talking about. We've been seeing each other every night. In Gridley Field Pavilion. We don't just... Actually, we don't more often than we do. We just hold each other and talk.
Is he getting beaten too?
No. No. He never got the note I sent him. They can't pin anything on him. I understand all about Martineau now. He was in love with Robbins, but Robbins wasn't in love with him.
Don't let your imagination run away.
For Robbins, it was just a game. Assignation, excitement, hands fumbling in the dark. All perfectly normal, school practice. Then poor Martineau, he went and told him. And Robbins was revolted, disgusted. He shoved him away. That's not what he came for. And then Martineau knocked something over and Nickers came in to see what was happening and then...
Yes?
Robbins, furiously buttoning. Martineau, sobbing and sobbing with his trousers down. Imagine that for a lifetime. Imagine the names. Pansy, Nancy, Fairy, Fruit, Brown Nose.
Do I detect just a touch of self-pity?
Probably.
Well, fight it. Every time somebody calls you a name, thump him.
Thanks. And spend the rest of my life locked up.
The suffragettes didn't get the vote by whining.
Suffragettes?
You have to change the fundamental social attitudes, Guy. You have to make people see. It always comes down to that.
It does with you.
Oh, good. You're both here. I've got some news for you. We won't be needing your services after all, Judd. So you can keep your principles untarnished. We won't be needing you as prefect after all. Devenish is staying on.
I never really wanted to leave. Cirencester won't be that much fun.
I'm sure you're both delighted. But I've some bad news for you, Bennett. Though it can hardly come as any great surprise after recent events. Devenish is going to be my number 2.
You bastard!
You really gave me no choice, Guy.
Don't you dare call me by my Christian name again, ever!
I'm sorry. I know how you feel. There it is. I'm sure I can rely on you as an ordinary prefect.
You were easily bored.
Well, my father was in 22 himself. When I told him, well...
Well, and your son will be in 22 as well. And your son's son, even unto the end of the school.
Look, we've saved your conscience.
Oh, yes, all problems solved. No commas and no queers.
You really have no right to take that line, you know.
You sanctimonious little...
Let's not quarrel, shall we? After all, we're all going to be living together. So we might as well try and get on amicably. Well, I thought you two should be the first to know. Come on, Donald.
Oh, so it's Donald now, is it?
I'm sorry. Now they'll say you wanted to be a prefect all the time, but they managed to stop you.
I took that into account.
Did you? Honestly?
Of course. All actions can have two possible results. You have to look at things objectively, Guy.
Did you see how they looked at me? Did you see? Like a piece of snot.
So much for personal relations being the basis of
When Delahaye was beating me, I could see in his face he was trying to flog me out of his memory. But he won't succeed, though. I'll haunt the whole bloody lot of them.
That won't do you much good.
Well, what will? Objectively? It's not much of a prospect, is it?
It's not the end of the world.
Isn't it? When people like Menzies run the world and you want to be ambassador in Paris? Oh, Bennett. Nice enough chap. Quite amusing, actually. We had high hopes for him once. Oh, but you heard. Not quite one of us. Bogota, do you think? Perhaps not, no. Isn't Haiti coming up? Yes, that's about his mark. He was never in 22, you know. Only ever a house prefect.
There's no reason why you have to be any sort of a prefect at all.
Yes, there is. If I'm spending the rest of my life trying to hide my true nature from the rest of the world, I'm taking every comfort that's going while it is going.
Well, if that's your attitude, then...
Besides, being absolutely objective, it would dish me once and for all, wouldn't it?
You can't have things both ways, Guy.
What do you want me to do? March about the streets with you shouting slogans? I wouldn't get past the first pub. As for this, too heavy.
Either you accept the system or you try to change it. There's no alternative.
Why not? Why not both? Pretend to do the one, while in fact you do the other. Fool the swine. Play along with them. Let them think what they want. Let them despise you. But all the time...
Don't talk drivel.
I'd have the last laugh. I'd be revenged.
It's just romantic twaddle. You wouldn't be in the mess you were in now if you had any discretion at all.
What better cover for a secret agent than apparent total indiscretion? Blood. The bastard!
You won't fight them in a logical manner.
I'll get him somehow. I'll get him. Wouldn't it be wonderful if all this was true?
It is true.
Heaven on earth?
No. Earth on earth. A just earth.
My trouble is I prefer to love justice.
That's pure liberalism. Sounds tremendous. Doesn't mean a thing. Pull yourself together. But will it pay the price?
Anything.
What have you done with Lenin? There he is. You do realise it would be sacrilege to lay him on chapel altar. Charlie Chaplin would want a man-to-man talk with you.
He can marry us if he likes. Sanctify our passion.
Wait a minute.
I'm afraid he'd only tell you how men managed without women in the war.
I bet he wouldn't.
Don't you encourage him, Judd.
What's this? You want something here, Menzies. If not, I must remind you that prefects are not supposed to loiter in fourth year library.
And where else am I supposed to see my friends?
Now that's totally unnecessary, Judd.
When have you seen Martineau? Farcical wants to see him.
You're hardly likely to find him
Can
in
we
here.
hold it, please? Hold it, please. Take two. Right. Stand by.
Well, he's staring in the light for a little while.
Get that grin off your face.
Very good scrutiny. Couldn't you have said you'd give him up?
No,
I don't see why not.
I couldn't do that. I love him.
Guy,
Look, you still don't believe me, do you?
I think you may think you're in love with him.
Look, I'm not going to pretend anymore. I'm sick of pretending.
Hold it, please. Once more from the top. Retake 3.
Couldn't you have said you'd give him up?
No.
I don't see why not.
Retake 4.
Couldn't you have said you'd give him up?
No.
I don't see why not.
I couldn't do that.
Guy.
I love him.
Guy.
Look, you still don't believe
It's complete sexual freedom in Russia.
That's not a lot of comfort at the moment, actually. Martineau killed himself because he simply couldn't face a lifetime of that.
But I thought you said it was a great revelation knowing.
Don't you ever listen?
Okay, stand by for a cue, okay, Judd? Shot 105A. Cue.
But I thought you said it was a great relief knowing.
Don't you ever listen? I said in some ways. The names. Pansy. Nancy. Fairy. Fruit. Brown nose.
Do I detect just a touch of self-pity?
Probably.
Well, fight it. Every time somebody calls you a name, thump him.
Thanks, and spend the rest of my life locked up.
The suffragettes didn't get the vote by whining.
Oh, suffragettes!
Guy.
Hold it. You have to choose a fundamental social attitude.
Mm-hmm. You have to change the fundamental social attitudes, Guy. You have to make people see. It always comes down to that.
Shot 112.
Do I detect just a touch of self-pity?
Probably.
Well, fight it. Every time somebody calls you a name, thump him.
Thanks! And spend the rest of my life locked up.
The suffragettes didn't get the vote by whining.
Suffragettes?
Guy,
Kurt, sorry.
When you come down.
Back to the same place. You have to change the... I am. You have to change the fundamental social attitudes, Guy. You have to make people see. It always comes down to that. Shot 112.
do I detect just a touch of self-pity?
Probably.
Well, fight it. Every time somebody calls you a name, thump him.
Thanks! And spend the rest of my life locked up.
The suffragettes didn't get the vote by whining.
Suffragettes?
Guy, sorry.
Oh, okay. So again, you have to change, right? Don't start with Guy, start with you have to change. Yeah, say it with now.
You have to change the fundamental social attitudes, Guy. You have to make people see. It always comes down to that.
Right, thank you.
Holidays.
Shot 112.
Do I detect just a touch of self-pity?
Probably.
Well, fight it. Every time somebody calls you a name, thump him.
Thanks. And spend the rest of my life locked up.
The suffragettes didn't get the vote by whining.
Suffragettes? Mental block. Mental block. Should we change the line?
Shot 112A. You have to change the fundamental social attitudes, Guy. You have to make people see. It always comes down to that.
You have to change the fundamental social attitudes, Guy. You have to make people see. It always comes down to that.
It does with you.
Oh, good.
Your son's son, even unto the end of the school.
Look, we've changed... Look, we've saved your conscience.
Oh, yes, all problems solved. No commas and no queers.
You have no right to take that line, you know.
You sanctimonious little...
Let's not quarrel.
Shot 117. How?
Sorry, I can't see because I'm looking at him.
Can you see what you
Out of the corner of my eye, you'll have to make it a really big gesture or I won't see it.
do? Here, is that better?
That's fine.
Okay.
Look, we've saved your conscience.
Oh, yes, all problems solved. No commas and no queers. Objectively, Guy.
Did you see how they looked at me? Did you see? Like a piece of snot.
So much for personal relations being the basis of...
When Delahaye was beating me, I could see in his face he was trying to flog me out.
Sorry, I was It's been a sound. Okay, Oliver, relax. It's just been a sound. We're not going to have to do the last bit again.
Who stole my heart away? Who makes me dream all day? Dreams I know will never come true. Only thing is to be true.
I'm really speaking as one friend to another.
You have. Personal relations poisoned by political ambition.
Listen, when you get a little bit of power, no matter how little it is, you find... Well, you'd find it yourself. You can't always keep public and private things apart.
In this country, you can't. The British ruling class is totally corrupt. In a communist society, personal relations are absolutely irrelevant.
Oh, not even you can entirely believe that. Listen, we are friends, aren't we?
Are we? I really don't know.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
I really don't know. Oh, we've known each other for a quarter of our lives. We'll go from your line then. Well, when you get power, how that may be.
That means I've got to stand up.
Sorry.
Your line then. Yeah. Shot 91.
Where are we going, Compline? Well, when you get power, I mean, no matter how little it is, you find... Well, you find it yourself. You can't always keep public and private things apart.
In this country, you can't. The British ruling class is totally corrupt. In a communist society, personal relations are entirely irrelevant.
Not even you can entirely believe that. Look, we are friends, aren't we?
Are we?
Stop.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Okay, go. Shot 92A.
Look, we are friends, aren't we?
Are we? I really don't know.
Shot 92A.
Look,
Oh, shot 92A, take 2.
look, we are friends, aren't we?
I really don't know. Are we? We've known each other for a quarter of our lives. I don't exactly dislike you. I don't suppose you exactly dislike